The rain had started without warning, thin needles tapping against the hospital windows as Ethan stood frozen near the elevator. The hallway smelled like disinfectant and cold coffee. Somewhere down the corridor, a child laughed, sharp, bright, completely out of place. Ethan clutched a small pink gift bag in his shaking hands, the ribbon already crushed. 1 week. That was all he needed. 1 week to pretend a lie was real, so his daughter wouldn't realize how broken her world truly was. Before the story pulls you any deeper, I'm curious. Where are you listening from right now? A quiet room, a late-night phone screen, a crowded bus ride home? Drop your city or country in the comments. It still amazes me how one fragile story can travel across so many hearts. Ethan hadn't planned to speak to the stranger. She was just there, standing by the vending machines, counting coins with tired patience that felt familiar. Her name was Grace. He learned it later. At that moment, she was simply someone not walking away. "Excuse me," he said, his voice hoarse, almost lost beneath the hum of fluorescent lights. She looked up, startled, dark hair pulled into a loose knot, eyes guarded but kind. "Yes." He swallowed. The words felt impossible, absurd, desperate. "I know this sounds wrong, but I need help, just for 1 week." Grace's eyebrows tightened. Help with what? Ethan glanced down the hallway, toward the pediatric wing. Balloons taped the doors. A hand-drawn sign that read "Happy Birthday, Lily," in crooked marker. His chest ached. "My daughter turns 7 tomorrow," he said quietly. "She thinks her mom will be there." Grace didn't interrupt. That was the first kindness, silence instead of suspicion.
Make a wish.
"She passed away 3 months ago," Ethan continued. "Cancer. Fast. Brutal." His fingers dug into the gift bag. "Lily still waits for her every morning. I don't know how to tell her yet. I can't break her heart on her birthday." Grace exhaled slowly, as if steadying herself. "And you want me to?" "Pretend to be my wife," he said. The words finally fell heavy and shameful. "Just for 1 week. So Lily can have her birthday. So she can smile. I'll pay you. I'll do anything." The vending machine buzzed behind them. Time stretched. Grace should have laughed, or walked away, or told him he was cruel for even asking. Instead, she looked past Ethan, imagining a little girl waiting behind decorated doors, believing in something already gone. "I'm not an actress," Grace said carefully. "I don't need one," Ethan replied. "I just need someone kind." She studied his face, the sleepless eyes, the grief carved deep into his posture. Finally, she nodded once. 1 week, she said. No lies beyond that. Ethan's breath broke. "Thank you." The next morning, Grace stood outside Ethan's small townhouse, palms sweating despite the cool air. The door opened before she knocked. Lily peeked out first, bright-eyed, clutching a stuffed rabbit with one ear missing. "Daddy," Lily whispered loudly. "Is Mommy home?" Grace's heart cracked open. Ethan knelt beside Lily. "Sweetheart, this is Grace." Grace smiled gently. "Hi, Lily." Lily tilted her head, studying her with serious attention. "Are you staying?" Grace glanced at Ethan. He nodded barely. "For a little while," Grace said softly. Lily grinned and wrapped her arms around Grace's waist without warning. The hug was fierce, trusting, warm. Grace froze, then slowly returned it, blinking hard. That night, they sat around a small kitchen table, frosting cupcakes together. Lily smeared icing everywhere, laughing. Ethan watched from the sink, eyes wet, shoulders trembling as joy and guilt collided inside him. Grace caught his look. She didn't say anything. She just handed Lily another cupcake liner and kept smiling. And if you were standing there, watching a stranger step into a broken family just to protect a child's joy, what would you have done? Would you have walked away or stayed? Be honest in the comments. And if this moment touched you even a little, tap like. Sometimes that's how compassion speaks when words fall short. Later that night, after Lily finally fell asleep clutching her rabbit, Grace stood in the hallway, unsure where to go. "The guest room is down the hall," Ethan said quietly. "Okay." She paused, then turned back. Ethan, this can't fix everything. I know, he replied. But tonight, she smiled. Grace nodded. 1 week, she reminded herself. Just one. Neither of them noticed how something fragile and dangerous had already begun to grow in the silence between them. Morning arrived softly, filtered through pale curtains and the smell of toast. Grace woke before the alarm she didn't set, disoriented for half a second by the unfamiliar ceiling. Then she remembered the deal, the lie, the little girl with the missing-eared rabbit. She dressed quietly and stepped into the kitchen. Ethan was already there, sleeves rolled up, struggling with a lunchbox zipper like it had personally offended him. "You don't have to," he began when he saw her. "I know," Grace said gently, "but I'm here." That sentence settled between them, heavier than it sounded. Lily burst moments later, hair a wild halo, pajamas inside out.
Make
"Mommy,
a wish, sweetie."
Daddy burned the toast again." Grace caught herself at the word mommy. It landed sharp, unexpected, but she smiled, crouching down. "Burned toast is still toast," she said. "Sometimes it just needs extra love. And butter." Lily giggled. Ethan watched, something tightening behind his ribs. Grace moved naturally, not perfectly, but warmly. She asked Lily about school, about her favorite color this week. It had changed. About the rabbit's name, Mr. Buttons. No script, just presence. On the walk to school, Lily skipped between them, holding both their hands like a bridge, keeping her world together. Other parents smiled at Grace, nodded politely. One woman said, "Nice to see you
Make a
back,"
wish, sweetie.
with the casual cruelty of assumptions. Grace felt it, the lie expanding, demanding space. At the school gate, Lily turned serious. "Mommy, will you come to my birthday thing?" Grace hesitated just a beat too long. "Yes," Ethan said quickly. "We both will." Lily beamed and ran off. Grace let go of her hand slowly, like releasing something fragile into the wind. "I didn't mean to volunteer you," Ethan said, voice low. "It's fine," Grace replied. "It's part of the week." But as they walked back, the silence pressed in. Inside the house, Grace finally asked, "When did Lily stop asking where her mom went?" Ethan leaned against the counter. "She didn't," he said. "She just
Make a wish,
learned not to
sweetie."
ask out loud." He told Grace then about the nights Lily cried herself to sleep, whispering questions into her pillow. About the voicemail he still couldn't delete. About the birthday last year, spent in a hospital room with machines, singing instead of candles. Grace listened, hands wrapped around a cooling mug. Every word added weight to the lies she was helping carry. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, not as an apology, as a recognition. Later that afternoon, Grace helped Lily with homework, sitting on the living room floor. Lily frowned at a math problem, tongue poking out in concentration. "Mommy," Lily said suddenly, without looking up, "do you love Daddy?" Grace's breath caught. "Yes,"
Make a wish,
she said,
sweetie.
choosing the truth hidden inside the lie. "Very much." Lily nodded, satisfied, and returned to her work. Grace stood afterward in the bathroom, gripping the sink, heart racing. This wasn't acting anymore. This was becoming someone inside a story that wasn't hers. And yet, it was pulling her in. That evening, Ethan found her on the porch, staring at the quiet street. "You okay?" he asked. Grace hesitated. "Then why me?" Ethan thought for a moment. "Because you didn't look away," he said. "Most people do." Grace swallowed. She didn't tell him that she knew exactly what it meant to lose someone and keep living around the empty space. She didn't tell him about her own childhood, the mother who left, the birthdays with one chair always empty. Some stories recognize each other without words. Have you ever had someone step in for you when no one else would? If yes, write yes in the comments and tell me their name. Sometimes gratitude deserves to travel further than silence. The days blurred into a careful rhythm. Breakfasts, school runs, evenings filled with small rituals, reading, laughter, pretending things were normal. Grace learned Lily's moods. Ethan learned how Grace took her coffee. Lines blurred quietly. One night, as Lily slept, Ethan finally broke. He sat at the edge of the couch, head in his hands. "I'm scared," he whispered. That when this week ends, she'll lose you too. Grace sat beside him, not
Make a wish,
touching,
sweetie.
just close. We'll handle it gently, she said. Together. He looked up at her then, really looked, not as a solution, not as a stand-in, as a person who had chosen to stay. Outside, the streetlights flickered on, one by one, like promises unsure if they could keep shining. And somewhere between borrowed moments and fragile hope, the countdown to Lily's birthday kept moving, pulling all of them toward a moment none of them were ready to face. The morning of Lily's birthday arrived brighter than the others, sunlight spilling into the house like it had something to celebrate. Grace stood in the kitchen tying balloons to chair backs, their colors clashing cheerfully against the worn walls. Ethan watched in the doorway, holding a small cake box, unsure where to put his hands or his feelings. Lily woke up screaming with joy. She came. Lily shouted, racing into the kitchen. My birthday came. Grace laughed as Lily crashed into her legs. Happy birthday, sunshine. They spent the morning in controlled chaos. Wrapping paper tore. Frosting smeared across noses. Lily insisted on wearing a sparkly dress and sneakers because princesses need to run. Grace braided Lily's hair slowly, carefully, fingers gentle as if afraid the moment might shatter. At school, the classroom was decorated with paper stars and a crooked banner. Other parents gathered, chatting easily. Grace felt their glances, curious, appraising. She stood beside Ethan,
Make a wish,
close enough to
sweetie.
feel the warmth of his arm. When Lily blew out her candles, she closed her eyes tight. I wish Mommy never gets sick again, she whispered, not quietly enough. The room fell still. Grace felt Ethan stiffen. For one terrible second, she thought he might crumble right there in front of everyone. Instead, Lily opened her eyes and smiled, unaware of the weight she had just dropped into the room. The party continued. Somehow, laughter returned. Children ran, but something had shifted. Back home that evening, Lily fell asleep early, exhausted from joy. Grace cleaned the kitchen alone, the hum of the dishwasher filling the silence. Ethan leaned against the counter, staring at nothing. I should have told her, he said finally.
Make a wish,
I should have been
sweetie.
braver. Grace dried her hands slowly. Bravery isn't always loud, she said. Sometimes it waits. He nodded, eyes red. I don't want her to hate me when she finds out. She won't, Grace replied softly. She loves you. That night, Grace dreamed of a little girl waiting at a door that never opened. The next day, the weight of the lie grew heavier. Lily asked questions, small ones, innocent ones. Why don't you sleep in Daddy's room? Why do you go quiet when I talk about Mommy before? Each question chipped away at Grace's resolve. In the afternoon, Grace took Lily to the park. She pushed her on the swing, higher and higher, Lily's laughter cutting through the air. Mommy,
Make a wish, sweetie.
Lily said suddenly, feet dangling. Do you think people can have two moms? Grace slowed the swing. I think, she said carefully, that people can have many kinds of love. Lily nodded, satisfied. Good, because I like you. Grace smiled, but her chest ached. On the walk home, they passed a man helping an elderly woman carry groceries. Lily watched, thoughtful. That was nice, Lily said. Yes, Grace agreed. It was. Now it's your turn. Think of one small good thing you've done recently, even if no one noticed. Share in the comments, so others remember that kindness doesn't have to be loud to matter. Your moment might be the light someone else needs tonight. That evening,
Make a wish, sweetie.
Ethan came home later than usual. His tie was loose, his face drawn. What happened? Grace asked. He hesitated. Lily's teacher asked if we could talk. About changes. About Lily being distracted. Grace nodded slowly. She feels it, she said, even if she doesn't understand. They sat at the table long after the house grew quiet, the lie between them like a third presence. I don't want to keep using you, Ethan said finally. This was supposed to end after the birthday. Grace looked at him, really looked. The grief, the fear, the love that refused a break. I agreed to 1 week, she said, and I meant it. A pause. Heavy, honest, but she continued,
Make a wish,
I won't
sweetie.
disappear without saying goodbye. She deserves more than that. Ethan's shoulders sagged in relief and guilt all at once. Thank you. The next few days passed carefully, almost tenderly. Grace and Ethan learned each other's silences. Lily began drawing pictures. 3 figures holding hands, always smiling. Grace tucked them away, unsure what to do with them. One night, as Grace packed a small bag in the guest room, Lily stood in the doorway. "Are you going somewhere?" Lily asked. Grace froze. "Just for a little while," she said, heart pounding. Lily walked in slowly and hugged her, tight, wordless. "You'll come back, right?" Lily whispered. Grace knelt, holding her close, breathing in the scent of shampoo and childhood. "I'll always care about you," she said. That wasn't the answer Lily wanted, and they both knew it. As Grace lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling she'd grown used to, she realized the truth she'd been avoiding. Pretending to be a wife was easy compared to pretending she wasn't already attached. And with only 2 days left in the week, the hardest moment was approaching. The moment when the truth would finally demand its place. The truth didn't arrive all at once. It seeped in quietly, through a school phone call and a small, trembling voice that asked too much too soon. Grace was folding laundry when the call came. Lily had fainted in class. The world narrowed to sound and motion. Keys, shoes, the slam of the front door. Ethan drove too fast, knuckles white on the wheel. Grace's hand braced against the dashboard as sirens wailed past him like accusations. At the nurse's office, Lily lay pale and small, eyes fluttering open when they rushed in. "Daddy," she whispered. Then her gaze slid to Grace. "Mommy?" Grace's heart clenched. "I'm here, sweetheart." The doctor said it was exhaustion, emotional stress. "Children feel more than we realize," he added gently, like a warning no one wanted. That night, Lily barely ate. She curled up on the couch between them, unusually quiet. "Did I do something bad?" she asked suddenly. Ethan froze. Grace felt the question slice straight through her. "No," Grace said quickly, brushing Lily's hair back. "You didn't do anything wrong." Lily stared at the ceiling. "Then why does it feel like something is leaving?" Ethan's breath broke. He looked at Grace, the question in his eyes unbearable. Grace knew then. Waiting was no longer kindness. It was cruelty wearing patience as a mask. "Lily," Grace said softly, "can we talk for a minute?" Lily nodded. Grace took a slow breath. "Do you remember your mommy who gave you Mr. Buttons?" Lily smiled faintly. "Yes. She loved you very, very much," Grace continued. "So much that even when she got very sick, her love didn't stop." Lily's eyes filled. "Daddy said she went to sleep." Ethan's shoulders shook. Grace swallowed hard. "Sometimes," she said carefully, "when people are very sick, they don't wake up, not because they don't want to, but because their bodies can't anymore." The room went completely still. Lily sat up. "Is that why she hasn't come back?" Ethan nodded, tears finally falling. "Yes, baby. Mommy died." The word hung there, heavy, final, honest. Lily stared at them, searching for a crack, a loophole, anything. Then her face crumpled. "She promised," Lily sobbed. "She promised she'd come to my birthday." Grace pulled her into her arms as Lily cried, the kind of crying that came from somewhere deeper than sound. Ethan wrapped both of them together, his own grief breaking open at last. "I'm sorry," he whispered into Lily's hair. "I was trying to protect you." Lily cried until exhaustion claimed her. When she finally slept, tears streaked and hollowed out. Grace sat beside her bed long after Ethan left the room. Outside, the house felt empty in a new way, like a truth had cleared the air but stolen all the warmth with it. In the kitchen, Ethan collapsed into a chair. "She hates me," he said. "I lied." Grace sat across from him. "She's hurting," she said gently. "That's not the same thing." Silence stretched. Then Ethan looked up at her, eyes raw. "And you don't have to stay." Grace felt the truth rise, complicated, terrifying. "I know," she said. That night, Lily woke screaming from a nightmare. Grace reached her first, holding her as she shook. "Don't leave," Lily begged. "Please." Grace pressed her forehead to Lily's. "I'm right here," she whispered. Morning came heavy and gray. Lily refused breakfast, refused school. She sat on the couch, clutching Mr. Buttons, eyes distant. Grace knelt in front of her. "Do you want to draw how you feel?" Lily shrugged. They drew together in silence. Lily's picture was messy, dark. One stick figure alone, the others fading. Grace's throat tightened. Later that afternoon, Grace began packing her bag again. This time, slowly, deliberately. Ethan stood in the doorway. "You don't have to go today." Grace zipped the bag halfway. "If I stay," she said quietly, "it has to be real. No pretending. Not for her. Not for us." Ethan nodded, understanding the weight of what she was offering. And risking. Before either of them could speak again, Lily appeared, standing small and brave at the end of the hallway. "Are you leaving?" she asked. Grace crouched down. "I don't know yet," she said honestly. "But whatever happens, I won't disappear without saying goodbye." Lily stepped forward and hugged her tightly. No tears this time. Just holding on. If that moment squeezed your heart the way it did theirs, leave a red heart in the comments. Sometimes one simple symbol says what words are too heavy to carry. Grace stayed that night, not because of the deal, but because walking away now would have broken something that truth had only just begun to heal. And as the house settled into uneasy quiet, one question remained unanswered. Not just for Lily, but for all three of them. Could something built on a lie survive once the truth had finally been spoken, or was this the beginning of a different kind of family? Formed not by pretending, but by choosing to stay? The days that followed felt like walking on cracked ice. Every step careful, every word weighed before it left the mouth. The truth had settled into the house, not loudly, but like a cold draft that slipped under doors and refused to leave. Lily stopped calling Grace Mommy. Instead, she called her nothing at all. Grace noticed that the first morning after the confession, Lily asked Ethan for cereal, asked Ethan to tie her shoes. When Grace spoke, Lily nodded politely, distant, as if kindness itself had become confusing. Grace didn't push. She understood grief's strange rules. At school pickup, Lily lagged behind, eyes down. In the car, she stared out the window. "Did Mommy love you more than me?" Lily asked suddenly. Ethan nearly swerved. "No," Grace said gently before he could speak. "She loved you in her own way. And loving someone doesn't mean there's less love for anyone else." Lily frowned. Then why did she leave? Grace closed her eyes for half a second. "Because sometimes life is unfair," she said softly. "Not because of you." That night, Lily crawled into Ethan's bed and refused to leave. Grace slept alone in the guest room, listening to the quiet house, wondering where she fit now, if she ever truly had. On the fourth night, Ethan finally broke the silence. "I don't know how to do this," he said, sitting across from Grace at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cold mug. "I don't know how to help her heal or how to stop hurting myself." Grace met his eyes. "You don't have to know," she said. "You just have to stay." The next afternoon, Grace found Lily in the backyard, sitting in the grass, ripping petals off a dandelion one by one. "Do you want help?" Grace asked, keeping her distance. Lily shrugged. "It's already broken." Grace sat beside her. They didn't speak for a long while. Finally, Lily whispered, "If I miss Mommy too much, will I forget her?" Grace felt her throat tighten. "No," she said firmly. "Love doesn't disappear. It changes shape." Lily considered this. "Like a butterfly?" Grace smiled faintly. "Exactly like that." That evening, Lily drew again. This time, the picture showed two stick figures, one with wings in the sky, one holding a rabbit below. Grace's eyes filled. If you've ever had to forgive someone who was only trying to protect you, even when it still hurt, be honest. Could you forgive? Type forgive if you could, or never if it would break you too deeply. The question hung heavy, not just for the audience, but for Lily. That night, Lily climbed onto the couch beside Grace without asking. They watched an old cartoon together, Lily slowly leaning closer until her head rested against Grace's arm. Grace didn't move. She just stayed. Ethan watched from the hallway, heart aching at the fragile bridge forming between loss and acceptance. Later, when Lily fell asleep, Grace and Ethan talked in whispers. "She's starting to trust again," Ethan said. Grace nodded. "But trust needs truth. All of it." He looked at her, fear flickering. "What about us?" Grace didn't answer right away. "I care about you," she said honestly. "But I won't replace someone she loved. And I won't stay out of pity." "I don't want pity," Ethan said. "I want a chance. For all of us." The words felt dangerous. Hope often was. The following day, Lily surprised them both. At breakfast, she slid a drawing across the table to Grace. 3 figures this time. 1 with wings. 2 holding hands. "This is us," Lily said quietly. "Mommy can watch." Grace blinked hard. "It's beautiful," she said. Lily hesitated. "You can stay if you want." Ethan held his breath. Grace knelt in front of Lily. "I won't leave without telling you," she said. "And I won't stay unless it's real." Lily nodded slowly, absorbing this in her own way. That afternoon, Grace stepped outside alone, needing air. The street was quiet, ordinary, life moving on, indifferent to their small, sacred storm. She realized something then. Pretending to be a wife had ended. What remained was a choice: to step fully into uncertainty, or to walk away before love made the leaving unbearable. And as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the porch, Grace understood that the hardest reveal wasn't about death or lies anymore. It was about whether love, once borrowed, could be chosen, freely, bravely, and without guarantee. The storm came 3 days later. Not the kind that rattled windows or split the sky open, but the kind that arrived quietly, with a single sentence spoken too late in the evening. "I told her teacher you're Lily's mother." Ethan said it standing in the kitchen, voice low, almost careful. Grace froze mid-step, her bag slipping from her shoulder to the floor. "You did what?" "I didn't mean it like that," he rushed on. "She asked about emergency contacts." Lily was panicking. I didn't want her to feel different again." Grace stared at him, the air between them suddenly thin. "You decided that without me." "I was trying to protect her," Ethan said, the familiar defense rising again. Grace's chest tightened. "That was a reason last time, too." Silence crashed down, louder than shouting ever could. "She's already lost her mom," Ethan said, voice breaking. "I couldn't let her lose you as well." Grace's eyes burned. "You don't get to decide who I am in her life," she said softly. "Not out of fear, not out of love." Ethan sank into a chair, rubbing his face. "I'm sorry. I panicked." Grace picked up her bag slowly. "I need space," she said. "Tonight." Upstairs, Lily listened from behind her door, small fingers pressed against the wood. She didn't understand the words, only the distance growing between them. Grace drove aimlessly, headlights cutting through empty streets. Her thoughts tangled, memories of her own childhood, of promises broken quietly, of adults who loved without asking what it cost. By the time she returned, the house was dark. In the living room, Lily sat awake, knees pulled to her chest, Mr. Buttons clutched tight. "You're leaving," Lily said flatly. Grace knelt in front of her. "I'm not leaving forever," she said carefully. "But I need to be honest with you." Lily's lip trembled. "Daddy said you're my mom now." Grace closed her eyes. The lie had grown teeth. "I care about you very much," Grace said, "but I can't be your mommy the way she was. That place belongs to her." Lily shook her head, tears spilling. "Everyone leaves." Grace pulled her close, heartbreaking all over again. "Not everyone," she whispered, "but sometimes people stay in different ways." Lily cried into her shoulder, small and furious and wounded. Grace held her until the sobs faded into hiccuping breaths. Later, after Lily slept, Grace packed her bag for real this time. Ethan stood in the doorway, eyes red. "I crossed a line," he said. "I know that now." Grace nodded. "I told you the truth mattered." "I'm asking you," he said quietly, "to forgive me, not to stay. Just to forgive." Grace paused, bag in hand. "Be honest. Could you forgive someone who hurt you while trying to protect what they loved most? Type forgive if you could, or never, if the wound would be too deep to reopen." Grace set the bag down. "I forgive you," she said. "But forgiveness doesn't erase consequences." Ethan nodded, tears falling freely now. "I know." Grace spent that night on the couch, the space between them heavy but no longer hostile. The next morning, Lily refused to speak. She dressed herself, ate nothing, and sat silently by the door. At school drop-off, she finally looked at Grace. "Are you coming back today?" Grace knelt to her level. "I'll come see you," she said, "and I'll always tell you the truth." Lily searched her face, then nodded once. It was enough for now. The days stretched endlessly. Grace walked through a park, past families laughing, parents arguing, life unfolding without permission. She realized something painful and clear. Love wasn't enough if it wasn't honest. That evening, Ethan received a call. Lily had locked herself in the classroom bathroom, refusing to come out. When they arrived, Lily was curled on the floor, eyes red, breath shallow. "I don't want to lose anyone else," Lily whispered. Grace sat beside her, ignoring the cold tile, ignoring the stares. "You won't," she said. "But we can't hold people so tight that they disappear inside our fear." Lily looked at her then, really looked. "Will you still come?" Grace nodded. "Yes." Not as a replacement, not as a promise she couldn't keep, but as someone choosing to stay, honestly, imperfectly, and without pretending. And as Lily finally reached for her hand, something shifted again, not back to what they were, but forward into something fragile and real. Something that would soon be tested by one final truth none of them could avoid. The final truth didn't arrive as a confession. It arrived as a choice. Grace stopped sleeping at the house after that night, but she didn't disappear. Every afternoon, she showed up at the school gate. Same time, same place. Lily began to look for her before she looked for Ethan. At first, Lily didn't run. She just stood there waiting, testing the promise. Grace never waved first. She waited, letting Lily decide the distance. One afternoon, Lily walked over slowly and took Grace's hand. No words, just contact. Grace's chest tightened as she squeezed back gently, careful not to claim more than was offered. At home, Ethan worked hard at learning a new rhythm, one without shortcuts, one without lies dressed up as protection. He told Lily the truth when she asked, even when his voice shook. Some nights, Lily cried herself to sleep again. But now, she cried in the open. "I miss her," Lily whispered once, curled against Ethan. "I know," he replied, holding her. "I do too." And somehow, that honesty softened the grief instead of sharpening it. One evening, Lily surprised them both. She stood in the living room holding a small piece of folded paper. "I wrote a letter," she said. "To who?" Ethan asked carefully. "To Mommy," Lily said. Grace froze, unsure if she should step back. Lily looked at her. "You can stay." Grace sat beside her on the floor. Lily unfolded the paper and read slowly, sounding out the harder words. "I miss you. I was mad you didn't come back. But Daddy says you didn't choose it. I still love you. I think you would like Grace. She makes good pancakes. I hope you're not lonely. Love, Lily." Silence filled the room. Thick, sacred. Grace's tears fell quietly. Ethan covered his mouth, shoulders shaking. Lily folded the letter again and placed it inside Mr. Button's pocket. "He can keep it safe," she said. That night, Lily slept through until morning for the first time in weeks. Something had shifted, not healed completely, but steadied. Days passed, then weeks. Grace never moved back in, but she became part of the routine. Dinners, homework, quiet talks on the porch. No labels, no pretending. One afternoon, Ethan finally asked a question he'd been carrying like glass in his chest. "Do you ever think," he said, staring at the street, "that we could be something real?" Grace didn't answer right away. She watched Lily across the yard, drawing chalk butterflies on the pavement. "I think," Grace said slowly, "that being real means choosing each other without hiding, even if it scares us." Ethan nodded. "It does." Grace smiled faintly. "Good." Later that evening, Lily joined them on the porch. "Are you staying for dinner?" she asked Grace. "Yes." For a long time? Lily pressed. Grace met her eyes. I don't know how long, she said honestly, but I know I'm here today. Lily considered this, then smiled. That's okay. The simplicity of it nearly broke Grace open. The next morning, Lily brought home a permission slip from school. Emergency contact, she said. Teacher says we need two. She looked at Ethan first. Then she looked at Grace. Grace felt her breath catch. That's not my choice to make, she said gently. Lily nodded, then handed the paper to Ethan. I want her, she said. Ethan swallowed hard. He looked at Grace, asking without words. Grace nodded once. He wrote her name carefully. Not as mother, just Grace. And it felt right. If you believe love still find a way, even after loss, even after fear, comment amen. Let this space fill with hope. Someone reading right now might need to see it. That night, Lily taped her drawings to the fridge again. This time, the figures weren't holding hands tightly. They stood side by side, smiling, space between them, but connection clear. Grace watched Lily step back to admire her work. This is us, Lily said. Everyone where they belong. Grace's heart warmed in a way that felt earned. Later, as the house settled into quiet, Ethan spoke softly. She didn't lose you, he said. She found you. Grace smiled. We found each other. Outside, the porch light glowed steady against the dark, no longer flickering, no longer unsure. And for the first time since grief had entered that house, the future didn't feel like something to fear. It felt like something they might grow into, slowly, honestly, together. Autumn arrived quietly, folding itself into the corners of their lives. Leaves gathered along the sidewalk like small, patient witnesses. The house felt different now. Not lighter exactly, but steadier, as if the walls had learned how to breathe again. Grace never moved back in. She kept her own place, her own keys, her own space. But she came often. She came honestly. On Sundays, they cooked together. Lily cracked eggs too hard and laughed when shells fell into the bowl. Grace taught her how to fish them out gently. Ethan learned to step back, to let moments unfold without controlling them. One afternoon, Lily brought home a project from school, family tree. She laid it out on the table with careful seriousness. There's not enough space, Lily said, frowning. For what? Ethan asked. For all the people, Lily replied. Grace sat down beside her. Families can be drawn lots of ways, she said. You get to choose what yours looks like. Lily thought about that. Then she drew. One branch held her mother, drawn with wings, smiling. Another held Ethan. Another held Grace. Separate branches, same tree. When she finished, Lily pushed the paper toward them. This is right, she said. Grace felt something settle in her chest. Not the rush of being chosen, but the peace of being placed where she belonged. That evening, Grace and Ethan sat on the porch while Lily colored inside. I used to think loving someone meant filling the empty space, Ethan said quietly. Now I think it means respecting it. Grace nodded. Some spaces aren't meant to be filled, she said. They're meant to be honored. The wind moved through the trees. Somewhere, a neighbor's wind chimes rang soft and off-key. Weeks later, Lily caught a cold. Nothing serious. Just enough to bring a fever and restless sleep. Grace stayed that night, sitting beside the bed, cooling Lily's forehead with a cloth. Will you tell me a story? Lily murmured. Grace smiled. Once upon a time, she began, there was a little girl who lost something very important, and she was very sad. But she learned that love doesn't end when someone leaves. It just learns how to stay in a different way. Lily's breathing slowed. Grace stayed until morning light crept across the walls. Later that day, as Lily napped, Ethan stood in the doorway. I don't want to rush anything, he said, but I want you to know I'm not asking you to replace anything. I'm asking if you'd like to build something new. Grace considered him. Not the man who begged a stranger once, but the father who had learned to choose truth over fear. I would, she said, slowly. He smiled. Slowly is good. Spring returned in its own time. Lili grew ayer. Her laughter returned fully, not forgetting but expanding. on the anniversary of her mother's passing. They visited the cemetery together. Lily placed flowers carefully. "I still miss you," Lily said softly. "But I'm okay." Grace stood a respectful distance back. She didn't intrude. She didn't pretend. Later, Lily slipped her hand into Grace's. "Thank you for staying," Lily said. Grace squeezed gently. "Thank you for letting me." If the story moved you, don't scroll past quietly. Tap like, not for me, but for the little girl who carried grief too heavy for her years and still found room to grow. One simple click can be your way of saying, "I saw you. I felt you." That night, back home, Lily taped a new drawing to the fridge. 3 figures again. This time, they weren't holding hands. They were standing close, strong, steady, facing forward. Grace looked at it and smiled. She hadn't become a wife in 1 week. She hadn't replaced a mother. She had become something quieter. Tua, someone who stayed without pretending. Someone who loved without erasing. And sometimes that is the most beautiful ending of all.